Hello, this is Alec Kerr, the film critic for the Conway Daily Sun, with my thoughts on the first episode of The Jay Leno Show, which is on at 10 o'clock on NBC. Now, for those people that aren't in the know on what's happening here is Jay Leno decided to quit The Tonight Show, and then NBC hired Conan O'Brien to take over The Tonight Show. So he left late night with Conan O'Brien to take over The Tonight Show, and Jimmy Fallon came in to take over late night. Then, Jay Leno decided that he didn't want to give up being on television, and so because NBC didn't want to lose him to a competing network and lose all those high rating points that he brought in, they gave him a show at 10 o'clock. So that's how that shook down. And basically, if you like Jay Leno, you're getting the exact same show you were getting with The Tonight Show, but you're getting it an hour earlier. So people who aren't really night owls, this might work out for you. Everything basically got moved back an hour, and I guess that's a good thing. If you didn't want to stay up all night watching late night television, you can go to bed like an hour earlier, unless you want to stay up and watch Jimmy Fallon. I actually like Jimmy Fallon, so I do actually stay up and watch Jimmy Fallon. I'm a night owl, so I'm already up anyway. So now, personally, I've never really been a huge fan of Jay Leno. I think he just kind of dumbs himself down, because I know that he's a pretty sharp guy. This really kind of became clear to me when a couple years ago he did a guest spot on Ebert and Roper when Ebert was ill, and they were bringing in guest hosts to fill in his spot. And he was just really sharp and observant and intelligent in his critiques of film. And I was just like, oh wow, it was just a whole different side to him. And it kind of just made me a little bit disappointed that he kind of does this lowbrow, lowest common denominator kind of humor on his show. And I really wish that he would just play to a higher level, because I know he has it in him, and it just kind of disappoints me to see that he just does headlines and jaywalking and everything, and kind of just points a finger at, oh, look how stupid people are, but then doesn't really actually say anything about it. The Daily Show does the same thing of pointing out the kind of hypocrisy and stupidity in America, but actually has something to say about it. Here, all Jay Leno does is point a finger and say, ha ha ha, isn't that funny, they're so stupid. Which, yeah, you know, the bad headlines and people not being able to answer basic historical questions, it's funny, but it's surface level funny, and I wish he would just take it to another level. So that's kind of just my general critique of Jay Leno. As for the first episode, it was an interesting episode. What's going to definitely assure this gets picked up by every vlogger, blogger, every newspaper, magazine, is Kanye West apologizing for hijacking Taylor Swift's acceptance speech at the VMAs the previous night. For those people who didn't see that, basically he just stormed on stage and said that Beyonce deserved to win the award for Best Female Video. And his apology was very weird and awkward. It was like a little kid getting his hand, you know, caught in the jar, the cookie jar kind of thing. And Jay Leno kind of took on this like parental role, like reprimanding him and like, you know, well, you know, how does that make you feel, and when did you realize that what you were doing was wrong? And it was just an odd little scenario, and it was just so weird and awkward. And you know, Kanye West was just going on about how all he wants to do is help people, and you know, and he feels bad that, you know, he took away from that moment, and he just got so caught up in it, you know, what he thought the award show should be like and who should win, and he just opened his mouth, and it was an odd moment, and that's gonna be all over the place. So that's great publicity for the show right there. The actual first guest was Jerry Seinfeld, and they don't have a desk, which is kind of nice. They gave it a little bit more of an intimate setting. It's just Jay and whoever the guest is sitting in a couple of chairs, arm chairs, and just talking as if they were in a living room. And I like that. The set design, though, I think is really gaudy and kind of cheesy. It's got all these bright neon colors, and I really don't like the design of the set. Kevin Eubanks is back as the band leader. So really, this is essentially Jay Leno's Tonight Show, just an hour earlier, as I already said. Jerry Seinfeld had a great joke where he said, you know, back in the 90s when we quit a show, we actually quit, which is kind of a jab at the fact that both Jay Leno and Conan O'Brien gave these big farewell shows, even though everybody knew they were coming back with a new show in a few months. So that was a nice little jab there. I like that. And there were some other funny bits. They had a by-satellite interview with Oprah where Jerry kind of did the interview and Jay just kind of kept opening his mouth trying to get a question in, but he couldn't. And they did some clever editing with inserting Jay into an interview with Barack Obama. Kind of an old standard routine, and they did it fairly well. It's the kind of thing, again, that's done on The Daily Show a lot. And that was done fairly well. You know, as I said, I'm not a huge fan of Jay Leno, but for those people who are fans of Jay Leno, I'm sure that they'll like this new show. And, you know, I have no ill will toward Jay Leno. I hope it works out for him. And, yeah, so that's really all I gotta say. It's a huge chunk of talk show now, basically a 4-hour block with the exception of a half an hour for news. So basically, if you want to watch a talk show now, you're pretty much guaranteed a chance to see it since it's from 10 until 2 in the morning. It's talk show on NBC. So if you want to catch some celebrity talk, you're pretty much guaranteed to check it out at some point. Anyway, this is Alec, and keep watching.